and love and compassion? Can you be a woman and have the qualities of strength and decisiveness and the ability to go and do things? It is the harmony of the masculine and the feminine that creates the synchronicity of the universe. So embrace the yin and the yang, the masculine and the feminine. In the book, I also deal with teaching people how to embrace their archetypal or higher energies, because all of us have a relationship with those archetypal energies. And, they symbolically may be represented to us in the form of people that we admire, the heroes and the heroines of our life, or of legend or mythology or religion. And I teach in the book how to invite those archetypes to express themselves through you. Invite Buddha, invite Jesus Christ, invite Mother Teresa to come and express themselves through you. And also in the book, I talk about how to actually begin to harness coincidences by paying attention to them, by asking yourself, what do they mean, by looking out for the answers in the form of encounters, relationships, events. These are all hints, even if you close your eyes and just listen to all the sounds in your environment, then later on you'll see that you'll hear something that reminds you of that sound. If you pick a color today and you notice it, later on you'll see that color will start to be appearing more in your consciousness.
Yes.
And will relate to something that you're thinking about.
It's almost like when you buy a car, all of a sudden you see the same model everywhere.
Everywhere. Yeah.
Let's go back to the phones. Let's go to our wild card line. Welcome to Coast to Coast. Hi there.
Hello.
Yes, sir.
Good evening, gentlemen. My name is Mike. I'm from Redding, California.
Sure thing.
It's truly a great honor to speak with both of you. Mr. Chopra, besides being a great teacher and doctor and scientist, you're an amazingly evolved person. I've read a few of your books, and when I allow myself to use what I've learned, I do have better days. Sometimes it's not easy, but my question is regarding string theory. I've read Neil Walsh's books, and I think they're mentioned in Friendship with God as being, by the creator side of a dialogue, as being someone who understands the science and the spiritual side of kind of what we're doing here. But my question is, with science discovering, the physicists discovering string theory, do you think they're starting to actually discover God?
Well, yes. String theory brings us closer to the understanding of the unified field, which means unified field theorists have always said that all the forces of nature, like gravity, electromagnetism, the strong interaction which holds the nucleus of an atom together, and the weak interaction which is responsible for radioactive decay, that all these four forces of nature are actually a single force, a single field. And this field is not just a force field, it's a field of intelligence that orchestrates everything that happens in the universe, including our own thoughts, our electromagnetic impulses or photons. What string theory is saying is that, in fact, not only these forces, these subatomic particles and these forces are actually vibrations of a unidimensional string, and those vibrations of that unidimensional string, depending on the frequency of vibration, create different subatomic particles and the whole fabric of space-time, matter, energy, and information. So that a single field of consciousness, a single field of intelligence, by vibrating at different frequencies, creates all the forms and phenomena of existence, all the observers, all the different forms of observation, and all that is observed. So string theory is bringing us closer to the mind of God. Now, one principle, though, in physics is what we call the principle of uncertainty, which was originally described by Heisenberg, who said that you cannot know the reality as a wave and a particle at the same time. You cannot know the speed and the momentum or the position of a particle at the same time. So either it's a wave or a particle, depending on the way you set up the experiment. And it has nothing to do with your ability. It has to do with the laws of physics. The laws of physics preclude you from knowing the ultimate reality. And so, too, there are many other kinds of uncertainty. There are irrational numbers like pi, which have endless decimal points. There are irrational numbers like the square root of minus 31, which you cannot conceptualize. And yet you have to use these irrational numbers to make calculations. Otherwise, you wouldn't be able to compute anything. But the fact that you use these irrational numbers actually is another evidence of the uncertainty at that field. In other words, what I'm getting to is science will bring us close to God, but never quite there. The luminous mystery always remains the luminous mystery. And in fact, as we know more, we begin to understand that there is much more unknown that we don't know, and in fact there's a whole segment that we don't know that we don't know. So although science brings us close to God, ultimately you have to surrender and you have to say, at some point, the mystery is such that God has precluded us from knowing it totally intellectually.
Deepak, you mentioned that your family and you eat the colors of the rainbow, the food representing the colors of the rainbow every day. Why?
Yes,
Why?
The
Why
reason
is
that, if you examine the colors in natural foods, the colors give a certain energy of the sun, and this energy of the sun, the 7 colors of the rainbow, constitute what we call the phytochemicals. Phyto means derived from light, and chemicals, of course, are chemicals. So the phytochemicals contain all the essential nutrients, like, for example, lycopenes give the color red to say, tomatoes. And now lycopenes are being used for treatment of prostate cancer and development of, and also in many other gonadal cancers, ovarian cancer. If you look at cranberries, berries, all the different fruits with different colors, and all the different vegetables with different colors, and all the different spices with different colors, you add them all up, there's nothing that's left out as a nutrient.
East of the Rockies, welcome to Coast. You're on the air with us. Hi there.
Hey, George.
Yeah.
This is Eric in Columbia, Maryland.
Welcome to the program, Eric.
Thank you very much. Again, I have to also say it's a great honor to speak with both of you, too.
Thank you.
My question is kind of a follow-up question, actually, to George was asking you about demonic possession not too long ago. And it's also, this kind of ties into the example you gave about the kangaroo bone with the shaman in Australia.
Right.
Which actually, I don't know if you know, that procedure was made illegal by the Australian government.
It was, yes.
Not too long ago.
Yes, it was.
But my question is, it has to do with your personal worldview, your understanding of the cosmos.
Yes.
Because there actually is, to me, there's an important distinction with whether there actually are what you might call evil spirits,
right,
or entities that are malicious.
Mm-hmm.
Because I know in Ayurveda, isn't there like a branch that kind of deals with that? It deals with exorcism.
Yes.
It's Bhuta Vidya or something like that.
Right, Bhuta Vidya.
And my question is, do you personally believe that there are external influences that might have something to do with?
My view is much more in the Vedantic tradition, which says that the entire world is a projection of your own consciousness.
Uh-huh.
So all these external beings are actually symbolic representations of a part of your own self, so that ultimately there's nothing outside as an influence. It's all a total projection. The world is a projection of all the elements and forces within you that are co-creating the environment. So, you and I may be in exactly the same situation, but we will have a different interpretation of it, and therefore it will be experienced as a different reality to us.
Do you think the individual, Deepak, manifests these spirits by themselves?
Well, the individual and the context in which the individual is. You see, you cannot totally exclude the collective consciousness around the individual, because the individual is also a product of that collective consciousness.
Let's go to our wild card line. Welcome to Coast. You're on the air with us. Hi there.
Hey, George. It's Mike in Toledo.
Hi, Mike.
Always a pleasure, my friend.
Thank you.
The masculine and the feminine. In the book, I also deal with teaching people how to embrace their archetypal or higher energies, because all of us have a relationship with those archetypal energies. And, they symbolically may be represented Teresa to come and express themselves through you. And also in the book, I talk about how to actually begin to harness coincidences by paying attention to them, by asking yourself, what do they mean, by looking out for the answers in the form of encounters, relationships, events. These are all hints, even if you close your eyes and just listen to all the sounds in your environment, then later on you'll see that you'll hear something that reminds you of that sound. If you pick a color today and you notice it, later on you'll see that, and love and compassion. Can you be a woman and have the qualities of strength and decisiveness and the ability to go and do things? It is the harmony of the masculine and the feminine that creates the synchronicity of the universe. So embrace the yin and the yang to us in the form of people that we admire, the heroes and the heroines of our life, or of legend or mythology or religion. And I teach in the book how to invite those archetypes to express themselves through you. Invite Buddha, invite Jesus Christ, invite Mother